Welcome to Peep Show number 24. My name is Emily Ann Peterson, and you're listening to Bare Naked Bravery. This is a podcast for creative misfits, and a lot of creative misfits have trouble carving out time to be creative, which is what we're talking about today. So, because part of the Peep Show episodes are all about what the kind of bravery that I encounter on a weekly basis, I also usually try to apply this to a question that we've received from an audience member. So, Eagle and Mouse off of Instagram asked a question about, I posted a couple weeks ago about how I woke up early one day to practice and do some songwriting. And she was like, wow, how do you do that? How do you carve out that time to be creative? And since I recently, one of the brave things that I did or posted about in our Facebook community, we do an occasional brave brag post where everybody posts the small or big brave thing that they've done recently. One of the big brave things I've done is look at my calendar and map out the next 3 months, which is kind of blows my mind that I did that. But I was able to go through my day and say, you know, I care about these things and I'm going to make sure that they're in my schedule and in my calendar before somebody else claims a hold of my time. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about time blocking. It's just like the 101, and it's something that I've done forever. I feel like I've done it forever. I'm the kind of person who procrastinates. And so I realized a while back, because I was homeschooled through high school, or I was homeschooled in high school, I should say, not through, but in high school. So I have a wee bit of a leg up on people in terms of being autonomous and working on an internal clock. And so I know that I am a procrastinator. Big time. And so I work really well. It doesn't mean that I'm bad at deadlines. It means I'm actually really good at deadlines. It means that if I give myself even an imaginary deadline, that thing is going to get done. So essentially that's what happens with this time blocking for me is I take my day and my week and I block it out and make sure that I reserve time in my schedule for the things that I think are important, either a project that needs to get done or a habit that I value. And I put it in the calendar before somebody else claims it, and then make sure that it happens. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, at 8 a.m. on Thursday, I'm definitely going to do this thing. It just means that the time is there. It's reserved in my calendar. If I need to move it around, I can. But it means that nobody else is going to take that hour, even if that hour moves around. Does that make sense? So some basics of time blocking is, if you haven't done this before, I encourage you to do this. If you are a paper calendar person, awesome. If you're a digital calendar person, great. This will work in either situation. Separate from your calendar, your current calendar, whatever it is, I want you to map out, like take a blank piece of paper, divide it up into 7 columns so that you can see each of the days, and then map out an ideal week based on first your personal values. So like, if you for some reason had to die in a month and you had just a month left to live, what would you spend that time doing? Would it be spending time with family? Would it be creating things? Would it be writing songs? That would be one of my things. Would it be being with your friends? Would it mean having brunch with your girlfriends on a Thursday morning just because you guys can? What would you spend your time on that you would absolutely never regret spending time on? And make sure that time is represented in your ideal week or an ideal month, say for instance. The second thing is to then take all of your responsibilities. So this might be like a weekly pay the bills check-in. Maybe it's a daily 15-minute email check-in or 3 times a day email check-in. Maybe this would be checking in on social media. If you're a business owner and you need to be on social media, there's that time needs to get in your calendar somehow. It needs to be reserved somehow. So because that's the stuff that keeps your business rolling and your life rolling without hiccups. And if you put that in your calendar, then that makes sure that you're not having to like put out fires constantly throughout your week, and that you're either at least one step ahead, if not more, in front of all your responsibilities and obligations, or things that you really enjoy doing, but you know that you have to do. You know what I mean? Okay, so then the third thing when you're mapping out your ideal week is to make sure that there is time incorporated for planning your next things and prepping for your next things. So one of the things that I personally am not that great at when I'm time blocking is this third step, is incorporating planning and prep time. So say for instance, today was a really good example of this. I had like 8 appointments listed out, or 8 tasks, or 8 blocks of time listed in my day, and I had no prep time. I didn't even have lunch listed. So that meant that during one of these projects, I had to sacrifice some of that time devoted to that project to eat lunch, make lunch, and go to the bathroom or go on a walk or take a break, you know? So that's important. That's something that I need to work on personally, is including that planning, prep, lunchtime stuff in. And then the final step with this time blocking bit is to compare the ideal map of your week with what a typical week has looked like for you in the past. I know for me, when a typical week in the past has been, especially on the weeks that I'm really bad at this time blocking stuff, I opened up my calendar on Monday expecting this fresh, clean slate and, you know, like ripe with potential for getting a whole bunch of things done. And what ends up staring back at me is the fact that I've given away all of my time to everyone else and none of it is my own. And those are the weeks that I really, you know, resent my job, because I have so much flexibility supposedly, but only if I retain that flexibility or the power of choice within my job for myself. Because if I give that power of choice up, then I'm unintentionally victimizing myself, which is a really hard lesson to learn on your own. For sure, it's a hard lesson to learn. Because then you have to sit there for 5 days relearning it, going, gosh, I really just want to go to my studio and practice my instrument, or really want to go to my studio and play that new song that I've been working on, but I can't do it because my day is filled with all these other things. Granted, things that I love doing, but in that given moment, it's not the thing that I really want to be doing. It's not the thing that I would invest my life doing, the rest of my life doing. Does that make sense? I guess I am investing the rest of my life, but you get what I mean. So, because again, I do love all the things that I do, but when I'm not in control of when and how I'm doing them, then it's a little bit, I lose my love for it, if that makes sense. So that's how I carve out time to be creative. I think Eagle and Mouse on Instagram, you were asking a little bit of like, how do you do that in the morning? Well, I'm a morning person. I wake up at 6:45 every day just because my body does that. I don't wake up with an alarm clock, but it just happens. And I also know that my prime working hours, my prime creative juices happen between the hours of 7 and like 10:30 or 11. And so if I can devote my favorite time investment into that best part of my day, then that's awesome. I once had a cello student who learned that she was a morning person, and she really resented her day job because her day job was getting the best parts of her. And she was kind of pissed about it. Like, she was like, I woke up today and I gave this large software company in Seattle, I gave this large cost software company my best 5 hours of my day, and I hated it. So we figured out a way for her to go into work a little bit later, and it worked. She was able to she just asked her boss, can I come in at 9:30 instead of 7:30? I'll stay 2 hours late. I'll stay till 7:30, stay 2 hours later. And he had no problem with that. I think a lot of places, if you ask for this power of choice back, a lot of situations you'll be able to find it, or at least find some sort of compromise, right? So that's how I carve out my time to be creative. Is this time blocking is really important. It's also really important to understand when your best hours are, and also where your best hours are. So when I'm in the middle of traveling, when I'm in transit, that is not a great time for me to be super creative. I mean, when I'm driving, I can usually scribble down some lyrics or something that come to my mind, or I get really good song ideas while I'm driving because I can easily just push the record button and sing into my phone, right? But in terms of actually sitting down and doing the nitty-gritty portions of creative time, I can't do that while I'm in transit because it's not as much of a fostering or nurturing environment for that kind of creativity. Same thing goes for when I'm on tour and I'm being hosted by these wonderful house concert throwers, camping out in their living room the morning after and just noodling around on my guitar for a couple hours. That's not usually a great environment unless they're not there, or unless they're at work and then I'm home alone. And then in that case, it's perfect. So it really depends on your context. It depends on your personality type. It depends on your biology. If you are actually just physically ready to be creative in the morning, or if you're more physically ready to be creative in the evening, then carve out your creativity time during that portion of the day. And the other thing is to ask questions, ask for your power of choice back. It's okay to send an email and say, hey, you know what? I know we are scheduled for a meeting at 5:00 tomorrow, but I am so swamped today and this week. Is it okay if we reschedule till next week? That is an okay thing to say. I've definitely done that myself. So if you are feeling like you've lost control of your own calendar, then time blocking is a really helpful tool. Writing out your ideal week and comparing that to your current reality, that's a great tool because you can see where the inconsistencies and the incongruencies are in the way things actually are and the way things you want them to be. So then ask for your power of choice back. Do what your body wants you to do, or work when your body wants you to work. And you guys you're gonna rock it. I totally know it. So if you have any other carving out time to be creative suggestions for our community, then I encourage you to either shoot me an email and I'll be sure to mention that in an upcoming episode, or even better, you can jump right into our Facebook group community and post your suggestions right away, right there. So if you've got a really awesome tip to share with the rest of the community, we want to hear it. I know that we do. I'm speaking on behalf of everyone. I know that this is a problem, and this is you might have a solution that a lot of us would love to hear about. So to join the Bare Naked Bravery Facebook community, go to barenakedbravery.com, and then you'll see there's buttons everywhere for downloading the Bravery Bundle. And it's free. It comes with a couple songs and a couple other downloads, the Bare Naked Bravery coloring book, and a worksheet with 12 bravery boosting prompts. And you'll also get a link to join the Facebook community. We're just a bunch of wonderful creative misfits who are trying to do what we want to do in life and with our work in the world. And we're trying to put ourselves out there. And it's tough. Sometimes it's not very easy, but it is worth it. And I know that we are not alone because there's a lot of us out there, and it's really nice to be amidst kindred spirits and kindred folks. So you are welcome to join us if that sounds like you. I will see you next week. We have an exciting interview with Jared Ungaza coming up, and I'm really pumped for you to hear it because it's a really good one. Okay, you guys, have a great weekend. Be brave.